Hey now. Hey now. Starting to feel a little real. Starting to feel a little real. I gotta say. This was, obviously they had not won 4 games in a row all season. They've had a few cracks at it. Hasn't happened. Happened tonight against a team that, look, yes, Mitchell Epner. I'm checking out the comment right here in the chat. The fourth quarter defense, and the Norvell Pell Hive is here. The fourth quarter defense is the story of this game, and I got Tibbs' presser coming up in a couple of minutes. I am hopeful. I'm hopeful. The fingers are crossed that we get another question in. The Knicks Nation gets another question in, because I'm going to ask him if I do get the opportunity, whether or not the plan was always to trap Zion in the fourth, because I thought it was a brilliant game plan. I thought it was a brilliant game plan to all game long. They stayed home on Zion. They defended Zion one-on-one with Randall, obviously. They mirrored Randall with Zion every time Zion was in the game. And, all the credit in the world to Reggie Bullock. Look, I know Brandon Ingram ended up with, he ended up with 28 points on 22 shots, but he only shot 9 of 22 from the field. Look, Brandon Ingram's fucking good, and Brandon Ingram could score on anyone. And the fact that Reggie Bullock basically had that assignment by himself for the entire game. You look up at a lot of these games that Randall has played 38, 39, 41, 42 minutes, all these crazy games. Reggie Bullock's not usually far behind. And I would not be completely shocked if Reggie Bullock was nipping on the heels of RJ Barrett in terms of minutes per game by the end of the season, because Tibbs just trusts him the most to try to not shut down, but to mirror the other team's best wing initiator on the perimeter. And he did a great job of it tonight. I don't, whatever Ingram's stat line was, whatever Zion's stat line was, and I know Zion had near a career high in assists, the Pelicans offense, which is one of the more dangerous offenses in the league when it gets going, never got going. Credit to Reggie Bullock, credit to Julius Randle, and credit to Tom Thibodeau. Got our first comment in the super chat. Thank you so much, Robert McGinley. Bullock, Noel, Taj, Burks, and Rose. The front office deserves a lot of credit for our vet acquisitions this year. Robert, you must have read my mind. You must have read my mind because, and Harry Donert, man, Harry Donert, you're so kind. You never ask a question in the super chat, but you always contribute. So thank you so much. I was watching the end of this game, and I don't want this to be about anything else other than the Knicks win, because it was a great win. But I have to say this. David Griffin and the Pelicans front office, I'm sure I'm sealing our fate for a loss next week by saying this, but I'll say it anyway, or Sunday. They should be ashamed of themselves. And I know they didn't have Lonzo Ball tonight. I get they didn't have Lonzo Ball tonight. But the fact that they've assembled this team, this is the team that they've assembled around Brandon Ingram and Zion. And if you want to throw out Lonzo Ball too, you could throw him out. He wasn't there tonight. That's embarrassing. Because you have these two talents. Like, these two guys are good enough to win games now. Right now. It didn't take Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook that long once those guys got together. I know I'm not saying Lonzo is James Harden, but you can build a team around a couple of young guys and have it be competitive and win a lot of games. And the fact that they're probably not going to make the play-in, it just is embarrassing to me. And yes, all the credit in the world. Bullock, no, they kept Bullock around. They didn't trade Bullock for some second-round pick, some bullshit. Noel, great signing. Taj, obviously, what can you say about Taj? Burks, I'm going to talk more about Burks in a bit. And Derrick Rose, they made the Derrick Rose trade. It was a great trade. It was absolutely a phenomenal trade. Ara A. Tibbs seriously has to sit Randall 1 to 2 games or he will be gassed, either against the Bum Rockets team or when we play one of the best teams. So here's the thing, Ara, and I'm not saying I have a comment on this in terms of what my opinion is, but I will say this. If the Knicks Massive if. Gigantic if. We're feeling good, right? We're on 4 in a row. Feeling good. Let's make all kinds of crazy proclamations. If the Knicks get a top 6 seed, the way the play-in is scheduled, at least as far as I understand it, and I could be wrong. I don't think I am, though. The way the play-in is scheduled is the play-in tournament will take place over the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday after the season, which means season ends on Sunday, playoffs start on Saturday. That's 5 days worth of rest. So, if it's clear that they're going to be in the play-in game as we get further into the season, would I advocate maybe sitting Randall depending on where the spots are? Because listen, being in the 7 or the 8 is a hell of a lot more important, a much bigger advantage than being in the 9 or the 10. So, but if they have a chance to get that 6 seed, man, I think they push for it, and I think it's worth it. Resign Alec Burks. Comment from Stevens Guillaume. Thank you, Stevens. I tweeted out before. For anybody who missed it, that I thought, and thank you, Stars, aka Brooklyn, for the contribution to the super chat. Give him the full mid-level. He's worth the full mid-level. Hopefully, you could get him for less than the full mid-level. The full mid-level is about $10 million a year. That's a lot of money. I know Alec Burks. We love him. It's a lot of money. He's worth it. I think they could get him for less. I think they could get him for like 3 years, 24, 25, $26 million. And if they can get him for something around $8 million a year, sign me up for as many years as he's willing to sign for. Because to have the luxury of a knockdown shooter who could hit off the dribble threes, penetrate the defense, hit the little floater, find guys on the pick and roll as he's driving, be your backup point guard. It's like just that type of versatility is worth its weight in gold for a guy that is not going to get played off the floor because of his defense. I know his defense isn't great, but good defense. Forgotten NYC. Dolan sat courtside with Rose and West. Yes, he did. I'm sure he's getting ready to play in some blues club right now. Shout out to James Dolan. Zebo 1313. Knicks haven't lost since I've been in Maui. Hey, what's going on, brother? I didn't know it was you. Maybe I need to stay a few weeks, months, or years. If it were me, I wouldn't leave. I've said this before. I wish my honeymoon wouldn't have ended. I love Hawaii. I would move to Hawaii tomorrow. What else do we have here? I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody because I've been vamping. So, Stevens Guillaume. Thank you again, Stevens, the patron, one of our patron saints of the Super Chat here in the post-game live streams. Hornets lost tonight, by the way. Knicks in 7th, could be 6th with a Heat loss tonight. I said it on the podcast. I'll say it again. This team could get to a top 6 seed because the Heat, I don't know if it's the short layoff in the offseason. I don't know if it's the fact that they're just not gelling. Something's off with that team. And the Celtics, that's why it kills me that Celtics loss a week or whatever ago it was. Kills me. Because if they had won that game, they would have had the tiebreaker over the Celtics. And they could still get the tiebreaker over the Celtics, but they don't have it right now. I think – and the Hawks are banged up. And they're better than the Hawks, and they have the tiebreaker over the Hawks. I think a top 6 seed is realistic. I don't think it's a pipe dream. Colin Loring, shout out to you in the Super Chat. $1 for every Taj offensive rebound and block. Let this serve as penance for my sins at halftime. You're going to need more than that, man. You better get your rosary ready. Listen, Nerlens Noel goes down. We hope he's all right. I actually, of course, serves me right. I pre-wrote a whole Nerlens Noel piece for tomorrow's newsletter, and he doesn't play tonight. What can you say about Taj Gibson? Guy's playing on the vet minimum. Guy's playing on the vet minimum, and he is a rotation player on a good team. 35 years old. I mean, just absolutely one of the all-timers. Going to be one of those guys. I know he's not going to play that many years for the Knicks, but he'll be a guy that any Knicks fan who got a chance to watch him is going to remember. Tim Kim. I'm pretty sure Lonzo was watching this game and thinking to himself how he would run the Knicks offense. Supermax Burks now. Look, it's a matter of, is Lonzo going to wind up in Chicago or is he going to wind up in New York? All it takes is 2 teams to start a bidding war. I don't think this front office has any intention of getting involved in a bidding war for Lonzo Ball. That's my assumption. I'm not reporting that. That's my assumption. But it's an informed assumption based on what I know about how they operated at the trade deadline. So if Chicago wants to go crazy and spend 20, spend $100 million on Lonzo Ball, they're going to have him, I think. But he'd look good in blue and orange. I'll just say that. I think he'd look good in blue and orange. Make sure I didn't miss any. Delsky, should we make a play for DeRozan? People are killing me on that. I think you're just baiting me because I've written about this a few times. I like DeMar DeRozan for this team at the right price. I don't know what that price is, and I also need him for a certain amount of years. 3 guaranteed years for DeRozan is a lot at the number he's probably going to want. Maybe you get him for 2 guaranteed years. My point is, where I've been on DeRozan, I think he's a realistic option. And I think everybody assuming, it's going to be Lonzo, it's going to be Kyle Lowry, it's going to be Gary Trent Jr. These are not necessarily realistic options. Oh, we got Tibbs here. Okay, here we go. I'm going to get to the rest of the Super Chat in a second.
No, we got Coach.
Hi, everyone. Coach is here. If you have a question, raise your hand and I'll bring you into the room.
He's not smiling.
Joe Varden.
When is he going to smile? How many wins in a row is going to take for him to smile?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Nice win. Now that you've seen it up close and personal, what's that like to watch Zion play point guard?
I think, as I said it earlier, it's the athleticism.
I will say this.
But it's the power and the speed combined. It just puts
Zion's
so much
really
pressure
good
on you. I think he and Ingram have great chemistry.
I think he's going to be one of the most 5 unstoppable forces in the league before long if he isn't ready.
Those guys are involved in plays. They also play off each other very well.
And I don't think he's going to play in New Orleans for very long. I think he's going to find a way out of there.
Basketball, so
because this is a shitty organization
for us.
I don't know if he's going to wind up in New York, but
respect.
Tom, I know you've lost some leads this year, but tonight you were down by 5 with 2:34 left.
Credit to New York, by the way. That's a great question, and I'm happy about that Bruce Beck asked this.
What do you think of your
They were down by 5, and for the first time all year, I did not get the sense for 1 second that this game was over. And I thought they had a defensive move in them, and sure enough, they did have a defensive move, which I want to ask Tibbs about. But again, this team is playing with confidence. This team has turned a corner. And I think they don't win this game early in the season. They win it now, though. And just absolute credit to their defense for keeping it honest for long enough in the fourth for them to hit enough shots. Also credit to New Orleans defense for being just absolutely fucking abysmal. They really should be embarrassed, that organization. And I like Stan Van Gundy.
And then it's rhythm basketball from there.
Avi Childs.
Coach, it looks like Alec and Reggie are almost like clones, right? They both 4 for 7 today from the three-point line. But Alex, particularly in the fourth quarter, seems to just play at a higher level. What are you seeing with him and as you put him in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, both guys are invaluable to us, and they both star in their roles. And so
I'm curious what people think. I'm going to talk about it before the end of the live stream, but like,
it opens up the floor.
If it was a big playoff game right now, if you had to predict who the Knicks' final 5 would be on the floor in a must-win close game,
we have multiple guys.
It's going to be a center. It's going to be Julius, and I think it's going to be Reggie and Alec Burks. And I'd be shocked if that wasn't the case when it came down to it. And I don't know who the 5th guy is going to be. Probably going to be RJ. But tonight it wasn't RJ, and if RJ has an off game, in a play-in game or a playoff game.
Ian Bagley.
Ian. Check out this week's The Putback.
Yeah, Tom, I guess Nerlens was a scratch before the game, and then you have obviously Taj starting, and Norvell slides in there. What did you think of the minutes that you got from him?
Great. And these guys have done a great job all year long. When Mitch went out, Nerlens was ready, stepped in, did a terrific job. Taj stepped in, gave us great backup minutes. The one thing about Taj that is you can start him. You can bring him off the bench.
I think Tom Thibodeau should give Taj Gibson's Hall of Fame speech.
Always ready, always team first.
Or Colin
Norvell was terrific. He's been putting in a lot of extra work. He's still
getting to everything in the super chat. Don't worry about
the system. But his length, shot blocking, the rim protection is huge for us.
That's great.
Jonathan Macri.
Hey, Coach. I asked you before the game about the plan to stop Zion. If I asked you now whether the plan all along was to swarm him in the fourth, I'm pretty sure you're not going to admit it. But so I'll just ask generally, what did you think of the fourth quarter defense tonight, and how happy were you with it?
Yeah, and I think that's sort of when you deal with special players, you're going to have special rules. You have to game plan for them. And then you have to be willing to say, when you commit the second defender, okay, how are we going to react out? You want to take care of the ball, the paint, react out, cover the line, but that also puts you in rotation. And the thing you're concerned with is they're a great offensive rebounding team. And so we were concerned with that as well, but it keeps a lot of pressure on you. And the thing is he's a shot maker. So even there's many times you think you have him bottled up pretty good, and he still can figure it out. He knows how to use his body and create space and get shots off. And he's a quick second jumper in terms of following his misses. So that puts enormous pressure on your defense.
Mark Berman.
What was it like to have the owner here?
Oh, he's asking about James Dolan.
Big road win.
We'll listen to that.
That was great. It's always great to have him around. I think the players appreciate it. We had Dr. Callahan here as well, so excited to have her. So perhaps there are good luck charms. And of course, Leon and Wes.
He's smiling.
They had a full house.
Steph Bondi.
All right. Keep this on reserve for when the players come. All right, I'm going to catch up to the super chat, but I thought that was interesting. He kind of admitted to it. And again, for Tibbs to know that he had that in his back pocket and that his team, that the Knicks could pull it off, that they could pull off swarming Zion in the fourth quarter. I mean, to hold that offense to whatever the hell they held him in the fourth is just, again, I looked up Coach of the Year odds today. I think Tibbs, you could get like 33-1 odds right now. That's insane to me. I would jump on that because it doesn't make any sense. I think he's got to be in the top three, and I mean, I'd vote for him. But then again, I'm biased. Okay. Get back to the super chat here. Michael Aaron, imagine someone telling you 6 months ago that we'd be in serious contention, not just for the play-in, but for the 6th seed. Unbelievable. If someone told me that 6 months ago, I would have what would I have done? I would have laughed. I would have laughed, and I would have called them a very stupid person. Okay, Tyler Michaels, first time contributor, long time listener. Thank you, Tyler. Thoughts on another Pell on the Pell minutes? I think Norvell Pell is really interesting, and I don't want to get off on a tangent right now, but I will say very briefly the fact that Tibbs can seemingly work with any center, not any center, but a lot of centers who have certain basic qualities and are able to execute pick and roll defense, because that's if you're a center and you could execute pick and roll defense, you could play for Tom Thibodeau. If you could protect the rim and you could execute pick and roll defense, you could play for Tom Thibodeau. And Norvell Pell, tonight at least, I thought he was pretty good. He had a couple buckets, so yeah, I'm all for Norvell Pell. Jeremy E, thank you for your generous contribution. Jeremy, I can't watch Alfred anymore. I have nightmares of the Knicks re-signing him. Nice win, though. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. Listen, again, you want to fault Tibbs for playing Elf. You want to fault the organization for re-signing Elf in the offseason. You want to fault Elf for being Elf. I mean, I actually thought he had some really important moments tonight. He had that putback on the RJ air ball. I thought that was important. I thought he had a couple nice baskets that were meaningful in the moment. No one in the organization, Tibbs, Leon, Wes, Elf, no one is under the impression that they don't need to upgrade that position massively. So I hear your frustration, but it's the best of bad options is what they had this summer, I think, is what they thought, and we're seeing it play out now. And hey, listen, 2 games over 500, so you can only complain so much. Going back all the way up in the super chat, I probably tell you I'm going to get everything. What else do we have here? We have Jason M. Norvell Pell. Again, the Norvell Pell love is real. Knicks have a real scouting department. Yeah. You know who I would have liked for the Knicks to get, though? I would have liked for the Knicks to get Alize Johnson. I thought Alize Johnson, I remember when he came out when the Pacers drafted him, He was an interesting little player, and the Nets got him, and they just signed him to a multi-year deal. I would have liked to see him get one of the Knicks spots, but beggars can't be choosers. D-Zilla. Zion seemed chummy with so many Knicks after this game. RJ recruiting, cap flexibility, free agency 2024. The only way Zion gets out of New Orleans is if he asks out. And honestly, if you're David Griffin and Zion goes to you and says trade me, if I would assume David Griffin would be like, no, they'll have to fire me before I trade you. Which is why, again, shameless plug to the podcast we did, I don't know if it was a week or so ago. At some point, I don't know if it's going to be Zion, I don't know who's going to be. Some point, somebody's going to sign their qualifying offer to get the hell out. And I will say it again. If anyone's going to do it, I think it's going to be a guy who he knows if he blows out both knees, someone will still sign him to a max contract, and Zion qualifies. And by the way, he has a shit ton of endorsement money. So I'm not saying he would do that, but like someone's going to do it at some point in the next several years. The truth, NBA. Is Kyle Lowry your first point guard you want in free agency? It depends on the money. And specifically, it depends on how much Lonzo's going to command. It depends if I need to do a sign and trade for Lonzo. But Lowry's in the top 3 on my list. Absolutely. Him, Lonzo, Spencer Dinwiddie I really like. And TJ McConnell. I wouldn't mind TJ McConnell. Shout out to the merch store. Link in the live stream or in the chat. I think that's it. Andrew Claudio, do me a favor and hit me up with a text if I have missed any of the live stream comments, but I don't think I have. So let's finish up some thoughts about this game. We've been talking for 21 minutes, and I have not explicitly mentioned Julius Randle. And the other question that I would have asked Tibbs if I didn't have that question in my back pocket is something along the lines of like, I get you guys want to move the ball. I get it's always predicated on finding the best shot. I get that the 3-point shot has become big for you. I get specifically corner threes are big for you. I get that you always want to put pressure on the rim. I get all of that shit. But how important is it to just have a guy when you need a bucket to get your bucket? And that's like rudimentary NBA 101. Every good team has that guy. But Julius Randle is our guy. And tonight, they had some moments where they just needed him to get a bucket. And I know he hasn't been perfect. I know there's been times recently, especially, when we felt like he maybe has been going a little bit too much one-on-one. And that's a fair criticism. But guess what? If he had the ability to do what he's doing for the most part on offense and toe the line perfectly between taking every shot when it's the appropriate shot and making every pass when it's the appropriate pass, well, then he's a top 12 player in the NBA. So just read his stat line before I get too far ahead of myself. He was 5 of 8 from 3. Man scored 32 points, had 5 assists, 8 rebounds. I mean, Jesus Christ. He's not gonna make All NBA because Butler's gonna make it, and I think Tatum's gonna make it. And honestly, probably Zion would make it over him if one of those guys faltered or got hurt or something. But like, man, Julius Randle, he is absolutely a top 25 NBA player, and he had to defend Zion. Thank you, Tom. He had to defend Zion, and I thought no one stops Zion. There's not a player in the league that could shut down Zion or even Zion's going to get his. Randle made him work for it. So shout out to Julius Randle. Stevens, listen, I want him to be All NBA. I'd love for Randle to be All NBA. Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum they have a reputation. And voters for this award, they vote on reputation a lot. So if you did like an in-depth analysis, like really, what is the impact that Jason Tatum has on the Celtics? Where would the Celtics be without Jason Tatum versus like where would the Knicks be without Julius Randle and all that? Can I make a case? Yeah, I can make a case. I could probably make a case for Jimmy Butler, especially since, by the way, Jimmy Butler's missed a bunch of games and Jason Tatum's missed a bunch of games. Julius Randle's missed 1 game. Going to lead the league in minutes by a mile. On the flip side, as Tom Romano points out, all NBA costs us money. Look, I'm not going to wish badly upon any player. I in my heart of hearts, I hope he does get all NBA, but that would make the Knicks' life really difficult, because if he gets all NBA, he's coming to the Knicks front office this summer and be like, yeah, you could take your extension and you could put it in a drawer, because I'm going to see what's up, next summer. Great game for Julius Randle. Shout out to Reggie Bullock, 6 for 10 from the field. We already talked about Alec Burks. Just make sure Alec Burks is back. I hope both of those guys are back, to be honest with you. We talked about Taj, talked about Elf. RJ's in a little bit of a slump. I thought it was nice that RJ hit that 3. I will say this. He's slumped a few times this year, RJ Barrett. He's slumping right now a little bit. But in the past this year, when RJ has slumped, I felt like he let it get to him and he was forcing it. And he was taking just bad shots. Last night, and it's been like 4 out of 5 games now. I feel like he's taken as many bad shots. I feel like tonight maybe took 1 or 2 bad shots. There was a high off the backboard attempt against Steven Adams I didn't love. He had another one, I think it was early in the third quarter, that was a little rough. But for the most part, I think I like his looks. I like his playmaking. And the other nice thing, when he knows he's struggling now, which he had a somewhat open look from 3. It was in the second half. It was on the top corner, by the top corner. And he had a look. He could have gotten it off, and he instead passed to Quickly. And I thought that was a real nice sign of growth from RJ, because we've seen RJ, again, force it, get a little ball hoggy. And thank you, Manny. He's 20 years old. I mean, it always comes back to he's 20 years old, which doesn't matter for everybody. It matters for RJ because we continue seeing the signs of growth. So not concerned. Obviously, I'm not concerned. Anybody else we have to talk about? Obi had a rough go with things, as Obi is wont to do occasionally. Emmanuel, quickly, if you want to give me a complaint about this game, that Emmanuel quickly should have played for more minutes in the first half. Like, this is one of those games where if you want to tell me development took a backseat to winning, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you. Quickly had it going in the first half. Would I have loved to see Quickly get a little bit of a longer leash in the first half? Absolutely. Do I think that might have made a little bit of a difference in how he came out in the second half? Absolutely. Do I think this is somehow stymieing Emmanuel Quickly's growth as an NBA player, that because he played 10 minutes tonight as opposed to 20 minutes tonight, it's going to make him any worse for the wear? No, I don't. And do I think it's going to be really, really, really valuable for Emmanuel Quickly to get play-in minutes and, knock on wood, playoff minutes? Yes, I do. Absolutely. So, in Tibbs, I trust. If you don't trust in Tibbs, that's fine. Anyway, thank you for the shout out, Manny, for the pod with me and Claudio. Stars, aka Brooklyn, your logo is amazing. Shout out to Ernie Prada. Ernie Prada designed our logo. He's great, and I'll link his stuff in the newsletter again tomorrow, because I periodically do it, but I'll do it again. Show is number 1. Go Knicks forever. Thank you. That means a lot. And shout out to Andrew Claudio, because he produces all these babies and he makes it happen. And I'm just the idiot who gets to have a actually, this isn't scotch. This is rum. This is dark rum. Very good dark rum. Shout out to my boy Doug for that. Okay. Let us answer some more questions. Okay. Jonas Plout. I've been pleasantly surprised about Rose's defensive effort. It's flown under the radar. Great comment. Completely agree. I thought, Rose was only 5 for 14. I thought Rose was good tonight, overall. Are you, Harrison Rich, are you getting any concern about Quickly's offensive game? It seems like the floater has regressed. It absolutely has. He's shooting under 40% from the short mid-range. And he doesn't have much of a pull-up or mid-range game or the ability to absorb contact. I think Quickly, the league is figuring out Quickly a little bit. Now, Do I think that means this is what Emmanuel Quickley is going to be as an NBA player? Absolutely not. I think Emmanuel Quickley is going to be fine. And I think a big part of the reason why they drafted this kid is I think they saw how he came into Kentucky. He struggled in the beginning of his sophomore year, made adjustments on the fly, finished the year super strong. This kid is a worker. This kid is mentally tough. This kid is going to be like RJ Barrett, and he's going to pick different things to work on each offseason. All I know about Emmanuel Quickley is he has a special ability to be a shooter in big spots and does not get afraid of the big moment or the big shot. And that, to me, is enough. I believe in Emmanuel Quickley long-term. I trust his ability to figure out counters. We've seen him already counterbalance some stuff that teams are throwing at him. He's just in a little bit of a slump right now. And again, everybody hits the rookie wall. It's really rare when rookies don't hit the rookie wall. That's why they call it the rookie wall. Robert Cross, thank you so much for the contribution, Rob. Man, it blows me away when people are just so generous. They don't even ask a question, but you've been, I know, a long time follower of mine, and Robert, I appreciate it very much. Somehow we're talking about RJ IQ than Randall and Burks. Yeah, I mean, I get into these things sometimes where I focus on the young guys at the expense of the guys who are playing the most important minutes, because there is still that nagging part of me that, you want to focus on the long term, and you want to focus on the guys who /hope will be here for a long time. It's all part of the same puzzle, though. James Lee, Tibbs Coach of the Year odds equal Brad Stevens Coach of the Year odds. What a joke! Andrew Claudio has a betting slip that he's quite proud of right now pertaining to the Knicks. I think I might have to equal that one. I think I might have to put a few bucks on Tibbs for Coach of the Year, because if the Knicks fuck around here and get a top 4 seed, the 4th seed, he's the Coach of the Year. I don't care what Monty Williams does. I don't care what Quinn Snyder does. I don't care what Doc Rivers does. I don't care what anybody does. If the Knicks somehow get the 4th seed, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if they ever did, Tibbs is Coach of the Year. It's just over. PKNY, right now, would you take? I was ignoring this question when I saw it, when I glanced at it before. 2013 Carmelo over Julius Randle for this Knicks team. For this Knicks team. Jesus Christ. You're going to get me in trouble here. 2012-13 Melo was a first ballot Hall of Famer at the top of his game. There were not 5 better players in the NBA during the 2012-13 season than Carmelo Anthony. He deserved to be number 3 in the MVP race that year. Julius Randle is not a top 5 player this year. He's not a top 10 player this year. He's not a top 15 player this year. He might be a top 20 player this year. That said, Julius Randle has been, for the most part, so willing to defend and so willing to pass the ball. God. I still got to take Melo, but man, that's a good question. It's a good question for this Knicks team. It's a good question. Thank you for that question. It's really smart. You forgot your question. You should, Robert. Thank you. I owe you one, Robert. To celebrate the 4-game winning streak, what type of chicken cutlet are we celebrating with tonight? So, full disclosure, I don't have any made chicken cutlets in the house tonight, and I'm not about to fry up chicken cutlets. I also have a newsletter to write tonight. But if I had chicken cutlets made, I think I would like to do just a little chicken cutlet sandwich, a little less tomato and mayo. I'm a simple man sometimes. Good question. Knicks Central with O'Skrilla. Do you think we get our starting point guard next year from free agency, trade, or the draft? Great question, and shameless plug for a pod next week that I'm going to be doing with Jake Rosen that I recorded today. Short answer, I don't think it's coming from the draft, and if you want to know why, listen to that podcast. Free agency or trade? Free agency or trade? Free agency. Free agency. They'll get their starting point guard next year from free agency. I don't know who it's going to be, but they'll get it from free agency. Don Cappuccini. Sign DeRozan long-term. Lonzo at long-term. Oh, no. Sign DeRozan short-term. Lonzo long-term. Re-sign Burks on a 3-year deal and Noel on the room exception. Not realistic, or is there something there? Yeah, I think that's realistic. They're gonna have cap space to sign DeRozan and Lonzo if they want to, but then you're capped out. But that may not be a big deal because, as we've seen in the NBA, year after year after year after year, it's not about whether you're capped out; it's whether you are capped out with contracts that are not movable. So the key is to sign contracts that you could flip easily if you need to make a big trade, which brings it back to, what are you signing DeRozan for? What are you signing Lonzo for? What are you signing Burks for? So I like the thought though. That'd be an interesting starting lineup. Lonzo, DeMar, RJ, Randall in a center. I would want a knockdown shooter. I feel like I'm one knockdown shooter short there. Interesting idea though. James Lee, do you consider Jaden Springer a project or NBA ready-ish? Probably more of a project, but because he's 18, he's the youngest American-born player in the draft, and he, Tennessee did not ask him to do a lot. Not that they didn't ask him to do a lot. He did not have to do a lot for Tennessee this year, and there were flashes, but I think he's more of a project. Red Rich. What's up, Mac? We just wanted to support your channel. Thank you so much, Red Rich. We appreciate you. Your amazing Knicks should hire you in their you're amazing. Knicks should hire you in their media department. Let's go, Knicks. Oh man. I'm pretty sure James Dolan would hire Frank Isola before they hired me. I mean, what the hell would they be doing with me in their media department? I'd be sneaking scotch under the table in these post games, cursing live on air. Insulting Wally. I'd be, if the Knicks hired me for their media department and they put me on the post game show, I would be like, every post game show, I'd find an excuse to be like, but here's the thing, Wally, you play basketball in the NBA for a living. Tell us about that. And then I get fired. Bad eyesight. Looking at other teams' cap situations, if the Pacers ever made Brogdon available, what would you give up to get him? For me, it's IQ in the 23rd pick. Is that too much? I'm not trading IQ for Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, if a Bradley Beal or a Zach LaVine or someone becomes available, then we could have the conversation about including Emmanuel Quickley in deals. But Emmanuel Quickley's making $8 million over the next 3 years combined. $8 million over the next 3 years combined. Not doing it. When you brought up the Pacers, the direction I thought you were going to go was about TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell is a guy that slowly but surely I'm coming around to. I'm coming around to TJ McConnell as a real option. And who do we got? We got Julius. All right. You want to listen to Julius? We've been going 38 minutes. Why not listen to Julius?
Randolph, if you have a question, raise your hand and I'll bring you into the room. Ian Bagley.
Hey, Julius, 4 in a row for you guys, coming off a stretch of, I think you were dropped 5 or 6.
Also, will Tibbs get promoted to GM head coach next year? I don't think so. I hope not.
Just a resilient group. That's who we've been all year. Just battling through adversity, whatever the season throws at us, injuries, tough schedule, road trip, whatever it is. We found a way to fight through all year. That's who we've been.
Joe Barden.
Hey, Julius, back-to-back 30-pointers for you against your 2 former teams. Is there any chance that you had actually circled these couple games just because they were actually one after the other?
No, I didn't circle. I always circle the Lakers. I always know when we play now. But as far as back-to-back against former teams,
In case you didn't hear, he said he always circles the Lakers.
Like I said before, I enjoyed my time thoroughly in the city. I had a lot of fun, and it's a great city, great people, it's great food. So, I mean, the culture's great here. So I love playing here. So it really was no animosity there.
Hey, Julius. Tibbs always talks about taking it one game at a time, but earlier today he also kind of, implied that you guys do have the bigger picture in mind. Is a top 6 seed important to you, or is it just let's get to the finish line as best as we can?
I mean, we're all fighting for something. And we are taking it a game at a time. But, top 6 would be great, obviously. But like I said, we're all fighting for something. We're trying to get to, what our goal is as a team. And, we have to do it one game at a time. We took care of home. We got the first win on the road. We go to Dallas and need to get another win. So it's that point of the season where every game honestly feels like a playoff game, and it has that type of intensity to it. So just like I said, we're taking it one game at a time and just trying to take care of business as best we can.
Bobby Childs?
Nice. Seemed like he kind of, it's important to them. I think they have a top 6 seed circled. My wife writes in the chat, ask him if he can unblock you. I'm not going to ask him if he could unblock me. I'm sure I earned the block. All right. And if anybody out there is going to show this to Julius, I just want to say, I'm sorry. Whatever I said, I apologize. You're awesome. And, I hope, I hope he gets all NBA and they can give him the Supermax. What do we got here? Adam, who is this year's Desmond Bane? Kispert is an older prospect and projected in the top 10 by Tankathon. What shooter can we target late first, early second? I wouldn't be shocked if Kispert falls a little bit. I think teams are going to fall in love with some of the more athletic players in this draft. And I bet you Kispert's available. I'll say this. Kispert's going to be available when we pick. I would be shocked. I'll bet you a donut that he's available when we pick. Jonathan Chiveres. Do you think RJ will convince Zion to come to New York? That is his boy, as he said in the draft. It's not up to RJ. It's up to what Zion wants to do with his contract situation. It's been a long time since LeBron and Wade and Bosh took 3-year deals off their rookie contracts. It's a new CBA. But, again, maybe he doesn't take the qualifying offer, but maybe Zion takes a 3-year deal with a player option. It wouldn't shock me. Whatever. It's not happening right now. I just saw that comment, Andrew. Okay. One more question, then I'm going to get out of here. What do you think about Davion Mitchell, Macri, from Carlos Matos? I like Davion Mitchell. I don't like him where he's being mocked. If Davion Mitchell was there with like the Mavs pick, I'd be all for it. I'd consider him with probably where our pick is going to land. Although at this rate, we may have a better pick than the Mavs pick. So who knows? Sharif Cooper. Here's what I'm going to end up. I'm going to end up by saying for all the people with all of these draft questions, check out the pod next Wednesday when I have Jake Rosen on. We go in-depth on both Baylor guys. We go in-depth on Sharif Cooper. We go in-depth on Jaden Springer. We go in-depth on Trey Mann. We go in-depth on the point guard position. And we have a lot of fun with that conversation. Check that out. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go write a newsletter and listen to probably one more interview. Maybe get one more question in. Who knows? Maybe we go 3 for 3 tonight. Maybe the Knicks are feeling like, hey, let's get this Macri kid in here. He's a good luck charm. All right. I will see everybody. Wild is right, man. Wild is right. I will see everybody after the Dallas game on Friday. Man, if they win that fucking game. All right. I'll see everybody after the game on Friday. Adios.